Hello everyone, welcome to another video in the Figma series. In this series we learn how to draw a character, an object, and we along the way we also learn about Figma, the tool itself. And so in this video what we'll do is we'll learn how to draw or we'll illustrate a pig. This nice little cute little pig that we have. So I have this reference image from unsplash.com. I will leave a link to that image in the video below, in the description below. And what we'll do is we'll try and illustrate this, and we'll look at two different styles of illustrating this cute little pig. So let's start by first of all reducing the opacity so that we can illustrate on top of it. Um, and so we have clearly a few shapes here. So we have this big circle ellipses, um, and a number of circles inside the character itself, inside the object itself. For the legs, it seems like they are rectangles, slightly rounded rectangles. And for the ears, it looks like a half circle, but slightly stretched out half circle. So we kind of know what the shapes look like for this object, and let's just start drawing it. And so of course we know what do we go and do. The first thing we go and do is draw the biggest shape first. So let's create the base of this object, which in this case is the body. And so what we'll do is go and draw this big circle here, and we will just reduce the opacity slightly so that we can just see what's going on. um, doesn't have to be very realistic. We'll just kind of draw and match it as much as possible, and we'll see what it looks like. So you have this as the body. Now for the nose, this knot, what we'll do is we'll give another circle here, and then of course we have those eyes, so we'll fill in the details a bit later. Then for the ears, we'll just copy this, and to create a half circle, a semicircle, you click on this dot and just drag it to the other side. So that makes it a 50%. Click outside, and so now you have a semicircle. Rotate it a bit, adjust the size, and then you can even pull it up. And then let's just scale it up. So you kind of have the same shape, and so I think this is good enough. And we'll just rotate the same thing and keep it here, but in this case we might have to flip it horizontally, perhaps. Yep, there you go. So it is almost the same shape, and now finally we need the base, the legs of this pig. And so to do that, what we'll do is we can take a rectangle, draw a rectangle here, and then you see that this is slightly rounded, the edges are slightly rounded. So I'll just move this outside. So you have the edges here slightly rounded. So to do that, we'll click on these dots here. These are the border radius, and we'll decrease the border radius slightly. Not too much, slightly. That might be just fine. And we don't want it to be on top of the object, we want it to be at the bottom, so this should be hidden below the base, below the body. So we'll move it down, and this should then work. Copy the same thing too, so we don't want such a big, resize the object to match the size of the rest of the body, and we'll just leave it here. So we kind of have, if you already look at what's going on here, we already have the shape of the object quite clearly. And now what we'll do is we'll just fill it up with color and see what it actually looks like. So first of all, let me increase this back to 100, and now let's start filling this up with some color. So we'll start with filling this up with pink. That pink should do. I wonder what color this is. Oh, this is too light. This is too light. Probably not right. Let's fill it up with a pink like this. And similarly for this one as well. Um, Although for this one we can make it a little bit more darker. There you go. And then let's do the same thing for the ears. So if you want to select two objects, you click on the first object, then press the shift key and then select the second one. And so in the layers you can see that there's both of them selected as well. So we'll do that. And then finally it's time for the legs. Do that as well. Obviously the legs do not look a bit weird, so let's update this circle and just increase the size of this a little bit and see what we can do here. So what I've done is on that circle I have pressed the control key and just drag the dot a little bit, and so you have these Bezier curves now. And so based on this curve, I can actually change the shape of the base of this body so that it's not completely an ellipsis, but instead it is slightly more flat at the bottom. And I can obviously keep dragging this a little bit more, and then increase this a little bit at the bottom. So this looks more like the shape. And now in terms of the legs itself, I can always push it a little bit more up. And I do see that there's slightly an angle. I'm not sure if this is just the photo or if there's an actual angle, but we can always change this angle to be a little bit more. So we increase the left leg to the left, and we increase the angle of the right leg to the right. So this looks a bit more like the image, I suppose. And we can always keep going with this. You can adjust it as per the diagram or as per your wish. As long as it looks like a pig, should be fine. And now it's time to do the eyes and the nose. So let's use the same circle here, nice and black, or well, maybe not completely black. Let's keep it slightly matte finish here, like this. And then with the help of the keyboard shortcut key, which is to scale an object, let's decrease the object size a bit. Once you don't want it to be so big, this is good. And so one over here, another one over here, and another one for the eyes. Oops, might be too big. This is okay. And here, there you go. So you have nice looking pig. We can leave it at this, or we can add a tiny little detail to the eyes. So with the eyes, usually during illustrations we add another white circle just to give a little nice highlight to this eyes. So do this, for example, decrease the size and keep it here, just to see what direction the pig is looking at. Bring this to front. There you go. Yeah, so now it looks a lot better in terms of the details, in terms of the eyes. So that's pretty good. We could leave it at this, although we can, if you want, we can add some more details as well. So you have years, and update the color. So I've created another layer. What I'm going to do is just decrease the size a little bit and just keep it over here, and let's try and oops, not that. That's not what I wanted to do. Mm, there you go. That's what I wanted to do. Just slight curve, to the inside of the ears, and similarly we just copy that here. Flip the rotation, flip the axis, and just adjust it to match this side of the ears as well. The curve on this side might be a bit too much, so we'll decrease the curve and increase the space. Just adjust the size. It doesn't have to be very perfect, but it should look like that. Yep, there you go. So this looks a lot better. Now of course, in this case there's some sort of shadow going on here. I mean, it depends on if you're going for a realistic image or a more illustration sort of type image, but definitely can we can work with this. Another way to do that is, so now what we've done is we've created a flat sort of image. There's not much going on in terms of there's no borders, and definitely there's no highlights. So another way of doing it is adding an outline to this, to each and every element, or at least the main elements, so that it looks a little bit more cartoonish. So you can do that, for example, and it's just at one, so that's fine. So the only thing that you would need to adjust in this case is the years. So that would be, so we don't want this border here. We only wanted to um, touch the edges, to touch at the side. But then of course if you remove this line, so if I oops, yeah, there you go. So if I actually remove this line, what will happen is the fill effect will go away and it'll lose its color. So what we'll do is we'll copy this over here, and we'll remove the stroke from this one here, and then from the one at the bottom we'll remove the line, so we still have just the border left, and then we'll make this visible again, so that now you have just the stroke. And then if you want, you can always adjust the size a bit, so you can make it a bit smaller and adjust it slightly. You can use the V keyboard shortcut instead of the K to adjust the edges. And in terms of the borders, of course, we can always adjust the border to be an outside border rather than an inside one. So you have outside, and so we can always keep adjusting that. Oops. So this looks a bit different now. So if you compare this with this, you have the same object, but just because of that border, it kind of looks a bit different, which means this will have to adjust it as well. Drag the ears down, and what we'll do is we'll just delete this side and this here, and flip and keep it here. There you go. So now you have, let's same object with a border. So it depends on what you want to do, what type of design you want to do. So let me go back to this one, bring it here. So yeah, two ways of illustrating an object. In this case, in today's video, we illustrated a pig, and you can either go all flat, no borders, or you can add a little bit of a border and see how that looks as well. Um, Depends on what your design style is or what you're trying to illustrate. You can either choose one or the other. I like to adjust this a bit so that it looks. So I've just adjusted the curves of the sides of the body so that it just looks a bit more. Does not look. It does not look too squarish. So that looks a bit a lot better. So that looks a bit lot better. Otherwise, this looked a bit more squarish. So yeah, I can always adjust this, but personally for me, I would prefer this one for at least this object. But there are cases where you might want to even add an outline. But yeah, so that is pretty much what we did. We started off with this image from Unsplash in this video. This is a photograph of an actual object, and then what we did was we illustrated this object first. So yeah, it's a more solid colored um, illustration of the same object. And then what we did was we copied the same object and then added a stroke there, which is called a border outline, and that has given the same object a slightly different effect, a more cartoonish effect maybe. And because of that, I had to adjust the ears as well so that we remove this border from the ear. So all of that has been done, and this is what it looks like. So yeah, the main thing of this video was to just highlight the difference between the solid way of doing this and the more outline-ish, cartoonish way of illustrating the same object. I'm keen to hear which design you prefer the most, whether it is this solid pattern or the one with the outline, but just let me know in the comments below. And if you're following along this video, and if you have illustrated this object yourself, then I'd like to know. I'd like to see what you've done. And so just share with me. I'll post this on my social media as well. So stay tuned for that. Um, Finally, what we'll do is just like what we do at the end of every video. We will place this object into a frame, and we can so that we can use this to post it on a social media. Copy that, just leave this for now, group this object, put it in this frame, and just get it out. There you go. So you have two different ways of creating this object. Let's give it a background. Green color looks fine to me. And for the cartoonish effect, let's give a different background color. Probably not the same shade. Let's give it blue. So there you go. Both of these, I'm tempted to adjust the size of this shape as well, just to match. I might probably do that. But yeah, I think in terms of the video itself, I think this is really what this video needs to cover, is the different shapes that we just drew, and how we overlaid all this on top of each other, and we saw that this is a more solid way of doing it in terms of the colors. There's no outlines, and then this is, we have added an outline, and this is what it looks like. So yeah, give it a like if you have, or give it a thumbs up if you have liked this video, and do subscribe to this channel for more videos to come, and stay tuned for more videos to come. And for now, thanks for watching, and see you on another video. Bye bye.